Hey everybody, welcome back. First of all, it's been an insanely long time since I posted anything to this Haven of Code YouTube channel. There's been all sorts of mitigating circumstances. Going to university is one of those circumstances as to why I couldn't post sooner. But even though I'm reluctant to promise anything, I would say that you could probably expect to see at least a video a week from me on this channel from now on. And now it's time for a confession. As you will all be aware, Logic Pro X has launched. I at this time do not have a copy of Logic Pro X to show you. I have used Logic Pro X. It's good. It's got some bugginess at the moment that they need to work out because of it being such a new product, I guess. They have worked on it for a long while. So what I've decided to do today is to just talk you through some of the new features which are in Logic Pro X. These features are listed on Apple's official website. These are the main features which they have decided to run with in promoting Logic Pro X. And the first thing to note is the radically changed design. Logic Pro X on first look has a much darker kind of sheen to it than its predecessor Logic Pro 9 did, which from my own experience can make it much easier on the eyes after long periods of using it. So we all know, I'm sure, that after hours of looking at Logic Pro 9, which had much more of a grey kind of sheen, metally kind of sheen, that it could be quite straining on the eyes. But this is a radically changed design, and they've really gone to town, I must say, on making sure that everything is much more compact, and a lot of the I/O kind of just makes much more sense now. As I say, it is buggy and still early days, but I for one am a fan of the new look. The next thing that's listed here is track stacks. Now we used to have to manage this ourselves in the past, but this is basically the best way to describe it, and this paragraph here details it. I'll put a link to this page in the description. What track stacks are is essentially a way to group tracks of the same type together and affect them in the same way with the same parameters. So the best example I can think of and use is if you had a load of drum tracks in a massive session, you could group them all together and affect them the same way, make them the same colour, etc. It's kind of the old grouping system that Logic Pro 9 used, but much more streamlined and much more intuitive, and they've done a good job from what I can tell. I haven't had much chance to have any real world use with track stacks, simply because I haven't had a band to hand to record with X yet, but from what I hear from friends and colleagues, it works pretty well. The next thing to note is the mixer. Now this is going to be difficult with just a picture, but my own experience with this mixer is that as I was saying earlier, lots of things from an I/O standpoint work a lot more intuitively now. So the signal flow graphically is kind of changed round a little bit. They'll put inputs at the top of the channel strip here, as you can see, and that makes much more sense from a signal flow standpoint when you relate it back to kind of physical hardware. And then all your effects and your effects rack is listed underneath, with the buses still being listed below. Don't worry if you don't understand any of this stuff. Suffice it to say, you'll have a much better time at understanding signal flow due to the graphics that they've used in the mixer this time around. Now, next, Apple has listed something which I haven't had a chance to use yet. This is the score editor. They kind of had a stab at that, if you remember, when you used to click on bits of MIDI, you could turn it into score data, but they go with the line here that it's been enhanced, and from what I understand about it, if anybody's used Sibelius, it would be a similar system to that, without actually obviously being a full notation program. So as I understand it, you can move notation around between tracks, etc. But as I say, I haven't had a great deal of time to use this yet. I'm interested to see other people's thoughts on it though. So drop us a line and let us know what the score editor's like if you have used it. The next one they've listed here is actually a really welcome addition in the sort of 2013 internet world which we all live in. You can export bounces straight to SoundCloud, Final Cut and iTunes. Now you could always do the iTunes thing with 9, but it's nice to see that they've added in SoundCloud there. I could see that much more in the real world. If you say have got a guitar part or something that you just want to share privately with a buddy, it's much more easy in my experience to chuck it up on SoundCloud and share it that way. So it's nice that they've nice touch that they've put it in directly from the bounce window. The next thing here is very impressive. They've tweaked the sound library and added loads of sounds to this. So it's much more full-featured than 9 was. From my experience, the sounds are much more believable as well. So the trumpets actually go some way to sound like trumpets. The guitar samples actually sound a bit more like guitars, etc. I believe we'll have to check this back. Well, I was talking to somebody yesterday and they said that the actual download from the Mac App Store, which we'll come to in a minute, of Logic is about 600 meg, and then you've got an extra load of sounds and samples and such things with that, so it brings the total size of Logic Pro to a whopping 30 gig. The next two features here are Drummer and Drum Kit Designer. Now Drummer is probably my favourite feature of X, and this is a fully customisable MIDI drummer which you can add to your session in essence. There are loads of different styles that you can pick from. Apple have basically got in 4 or 5 session drummers and got them to lay down their fill essentially, and then what Logic does is it takes an algorithm and matches it to your track. So if you need a drummer real quick time and you don't have a buddy available to come over and drum for you, this is a really cool way of getting a really realistic drum sound really fast. The next few things we're going to gloss over really quickly because I haven't used them all that much, if I'm honest, but we'll get to them in later videos. This is a bass amp designer, so it's similar to the idea that Apple used for the guitar amp designer, kind of an amp modelling idea in 9, so you can go in and tweak your bass sounds if you just want to plug in and go. Similarly, they've redesigned the pedal board suite, so you can have a load of really cool out of the box pedal modelling effects, and I know that it's not as good as sort of real world pedals, but nothing is right now. Next they've redesigned vintage keyboards, and I know that I was a big fan for one of the electric piano in Logic Pro 9. I know that a band called Vampire Weekend, if you're familiar with them, use the stock Logic sounds on one of their last records. Not sure which one it was. So obviously it was the electric piano sounds were well liked. It goes on about a new look and feel here. So they've tweaked the way you can edit things, I believe, on the back end. I haven't actually had a chance to play with this yet. I have, however, had a chance to play with the Retro Synth, and this is a synthesizer modelling tool which is really quite powerful. You have got the ability to choose a synth sound and map it and stack it on top of another sound, you can get some really cool kind of kick-ass clubby sounds that way, kind of the new wave dance music sort of stuff. This is a really neat feature actually. If anybody's familiar with Ableton Live, which Dan covers on this channel, you can do this on there as well, and this used to be a real pain to get an arpeggiator in Logic. You used to have to go into the scary environment window, which is where you controlled the signal flow. You can still do that, but this is a arpeggiator plugin which will work on pretty much any MIDI effect that you have, so really handy if you just want a quick arpeggiator. Similarly, they have MIDI plugins, loads of new MIDI plugins which I haven't really explored apart from the arpeggiator yet, but we'll come to that. Okay, yeah, this is a neat feature. This is flex pitch. So similarly to how the old flex time used to work in 9, where you could take chunks of audio and match them up to be in time with each other, and it would come up with algorithms to help you with that. This will, if you've got one note in a vocal track, it's kind of out of tune, you can go in real time and edit that. Obviously, it's probably not going to be as accurate as if you just got the singer to sing the take again, but it's a really cool way to just go in and tweak things quickly if you're looking for a quick fix. And again, I will cover that in a later video because I'm interested to check that out more myself. New sound library, as I mentioned earlier, they have a ton of new sounds and loops, 32 gig I think it was, or over 30 gig of new sounds. And this is an interesting one. I'll talk a bit about this. This is the ability to control the mixing desk and a whole load of other features from your iPad over Wi-Fi, and I will be doing a video on this just as soon as I can get a Wi-Fi connection. I am wired at the moment, but stay tuned because this is really powerful stuff. Just sort of 5 years ago when Logic 9 launched, you would never have believed we could control sort of digital audio workstations via Wi-Fi. The app is called Logic Remote, and it's free from the App Store, so feel free to jump in if you already have X and give me some feedback on what you think of it. Lastly, unfortunately, it's not free, as is nothing in this world. It's amazing value though at $139 GB pounds. I will be putting in the description the US dollar price. I don't know that offhand, but for $139 I can tell you it's amazing value. It's a massive program. It's really fully featured, and when you think that just 4 or so years ago I paid £400 for Logic 9, which wasn't as fully featured as this, it seems ludicrous really. Download only through the Mac App Store, which is kind of neat because you can use it, that means on all of your machines, so you don't have to buy it again. Logic Pro 9 used to get incredibly funny about using 2 copies of the same software on the same Wi-Fi network, etc. But none of this here because you can download it onto as many Macs as you happen to have. Okay guys, once again, thanks a lot for watching. Sorry it's been so long since I've uploaded. As I say, way back at the beginning of this video, we are going to try and make this a lot more regular. I appreciate that I glossed over some of those features at the end really fast, so if anything was unclear, drop me a line in the comments and I'll get back to as many as I can, I promise. Until next time, I'll see you soon.